Welcome to EGO NetCast. I am Martin Lindeskog. This is solo episode 109, and it's my thoughts on a future moment of a Podosphere and my future scheduling of this podcast and others. I come to the conclusion that I will say that I will at least publish one episode per month of this podcast and others that I'm doing by myself. Because at the moment I'm involved as a co-host in 3 other podcasts. One called Produktivitet, to be productive and drinking tea at the same time in Swedish. And one is called Penna möter papper, pen meets paper. And the third one is presentation skills in plain English. And I have plans with a fellow blogger to start a podcast on fundamental ideas later on this year. So then it will be 4 podcasts that I co-host in 4. And then it will be like 1 episode per week, 4 per month. And I'm involved in about 10 different podcasts at the moment. So I have to publish like 2-3 episodes per week. So with that said, I recently attended and participated in a virtual conference on podcasting called The Shift by Podcast Movement. I took some notes in my Berlin notebook, and that got me thinking that this podcast I will do commentary of a new segment called an analysis of an article in The Economist once per week, and I will link to photo there on Instagram. So then I will have that planned to have a short comment and an analysis of an article in The Economist. And I attended this webinar by The Economist and reached out to them on Twitter and got a nice reply there from new media representative of The Economist. So that got me also thinking that I have a message here regarding news commentary, philosophical speaking, and my twist and thoughts on what's going on in the world at the moment. And I will continue with interviews also. I have interviews in the pipeline, and I'm doing a post-production for my conversation with Arjun Rai of Hello Woofy, and also Sean Smith of SeanSmithSolo.com, his new album called Solo, and another artist coming up here, and also a follow-up conversation with a person that I interviewed some years ago. And by the way, thanks for asking about my health situation and condition. I will talk about the remedy here that I found out, and I will test during time will come in the near future. And also that I have a digital break here during the summer, so that's why I haven't published a newsletter for some weeks, and I will talk more about that in the next issue that I will publish end of this month, beginning of August. So again, with a comment on this shift, the virtual shift here, podcast moment. I liked the Jody Mayberry on his thought and session on recording podcast long distance, and he mentioned Ringer, and it was great to hear, and also mentioned other services that you could use. So I enjoyed that session. And some of her sessions there, it was all around these political things, and you could also say that it was a bit political correct for my taste. But as I said, I'm a champion for freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And you could find one podcast that you like and interested in, and also have a discourse and debate and discussion. That's good. And as I said, this got me thinking about The Economist as a classical liberal magazine. And if you haven't seen the documentary about indie podcast, The Messengers, I recommend that you watch that and support this cause. So that got me again thinking about this podcast. It will be focused on fundamental ideas, philosophy, but also interviews with artists, authors, new media experts, etc., entrepreneurs. So I will wrap up this with a question about my plan for the future, and I also did a photo there on Instagram with a coin. So it's a play with words, falling or fall forward as autumn. And Victoria Q, she commented on that in a funny way on my wordplay, so I will include that also in the show notes. So with that, thank you for listening, and thanks for your support, and talk to you soon again. Cheers. Hello, monkey, 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 as Chris Brogan is saying after some episodes in the past. I added that Matt Maher was a great, engaging host of this virtual event, The Shift by Podcast Moment. And he did funny games during the breaks between sessions, so I will include that and link to that Instagram also. And so that was fun. And again, my thoughts about the future of podcast movement and my own journey as a podcaster, but also as a new media advisor for other podcasters and inspiring others to start their own podcast. I've been coming back to this in the future about the so-called movement of podcasters and the Podosphere. And I like the initiative by the podcast movement to start a university online. And that will be interesting to see how conferences and unconferences will play out in the future. And also about education and self-learning, self-development regarding as a podcaster. As I said, I'm good at inspiring others to start a podcast and also to keep doing it, as I have in a way struggled with myself, but never giving up and continuing. And that's my insight or introspection, that this pod will be as an experiment, as a laboratory, and development, and keep going. Said at least once per month, new episode. And I look forward to develop new relationships and find new contacts in the Podosphere. So with that, again, take care and talk to you soon again.